This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV.
Get out of this hole. I want more, I want more, I want so much more. Going to meet next president of this country. I'm really scared.
You want it all, and you want it now.
Sabina.
Come, you have to see this.
They called her the Devils. Oh my God.
You started it, Angel.
How can you do something like that, Sabina?
I need you to get me a chopper for an escape.
But you left the president alone?
I want to get out of this hole. I want more.
This is NTV. The party begins with 3 seasons under our belt. We show no sign of slowing down on the hit.
Let's go! 1, 2, go! I want to exchange my words with yours. Hold on. Just 1 minute.
And on a video, the ones and twos means on camera.
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
In your face. Keep it locked. Log in.
What's up, NTV? Log in.
Yo, this is Doctor coming in live on your TV. Log in.
Log in only on NTV. The party begins with 3 seasons under our belt. We show no sign of slowing down on the hit.
Let's go! 1, 2, go! I want to exchange my words with yours. Hold on. Just 1 minute.
And on a video, the ones and twos means on camera.
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
In your face.
Keep it locked. Log in.
What's up, NTV? Log in.
Yo, this is Dr. coming in live on your TV. Log in.
Log in only on NTV.
Are you telling us on this show tonight that it's okay to break rules?
People worth becoming leaders should not
elect their leaders.
You say correctly that the problem of Africa is leaders staying in power for so long.
What I said, staying in power without mandate of the people.
Dr. Besige, are you telling us on this show tonight that it's okay to break rules?
People worth becoming leaders should not break rules.
Joseph Kony is defeated. He's on the run with his tail between his legs.
You cannot sit back and allow Somalia to continue to be in chaos.
I'm a state Messiah.
I will leave office.
This is NTV.
It is 9 p.m. in Kampala on this Saturday night, the 22nd day of September 2012. You're right on time for tonight's NTV Weekend Edition. Tonight, a woman of Indian origin is rescued from kidnappers as police arrest a man of Pakistani origin at a Buziga hideout. We'll be sure to have your say on illegal immigrants in our NTV Weekend poll tonight. Also, Mukono leaders petition IGG accuse the district administration for mismanagement of public funds. Plus, find out why drunken driving is turning out to be a national problem in tonight's topical feature. And of course, more news in our NTV Weekend Sport. Good evening, I am Josephine Karunji. We begin with the headlines. Lucky to be alive. Police rescue woman kidnapped and hidden at a Buziga house by men of Pakistani origin.
The aim of civil society organizations is to improve society as well as human conditions. But are their efforts significant as they push for a vibrant society that can adequately demand for good governance, transparency and democratic values? Join me, Cynthia Asio, as we explore the details of this story on today's Weekend Edition.
As electricity costs continue to escalate, some sections of the business community are looking at solar power as an alternative to cheaper energy. But can these business entities solely depend on solar power without any inclusion of hydroelectricity? Join me, Solomon Serwanja, with the details of that story.
The National Under-12 Baseball Championship came to a close today with Lugazi beating Chambogo to the championship in the final played here in Kampala. Join me, Alfred Odong, for the details of that story.
Once again, thank you for joining us. I am Josephine Karunji. Starting us off tonight, the police have rescued an Indian lady who was kidnapped by a group of Pakistani men in Kampala 2 days ago. The kidnappers are said to have asked for a ransom from the lady's husband, but they were busted by the police in a sting operation. The police chief, Kalika Ihura, called on the public to work more closely with them to foil such terrorist plots aimed at destabilizing the country. Chris Ochamringa has that story.
The police rescued the Indian lady, Thaka Kumar, at this house in the Buziga suburb of Kampala, where she was found tied and gagged.
So, sir, this is
is your wife, and she's back in one piece. We are very happy.
Her Pakistani kidnappers are believed to be part of a group of 8 suspected terrorists who recently entered the country.
We have a problem in immigration. And they want to go, who in immigration gave these people visas without cross-check?
The men reportedly demanded a ransom of $70,000, which is about 175 million shillings from Taka's husband, but had their plot foiled by the police.
Our immediate thinking is that they are raising money for their operations. Because kidnapping is a terrorist act. I don't know whether you know this. It's one of the terrorist acts are from Pakistan. The victims are from India, from Gujarat.
One of the suspects was arrested at the Buziga hideout during the sting operation, but the ringleader managed to flee. Police detectives from the Counter-Terrorism and the Special Investigation Unit combed the house this morning to get more leads into the kidnappers' activities.
You see the way these people came and rented the house. In the house there's nothing. Completely there's nothing. So that one raised certain kind of suspicions.
The police chief, Lieutenant General Kale Kaihura, also sounded a warning to groups planning terrorist acts in the country.
I'm warning all those who are planning this to harm our people, to destroy our country. At the time when we're celebrating 50 years of independence, there are groups, I don't want to mention them, who are planning to sabotage Uganda, to sabotage the country to celebrate 50 years of our independence.
The police have time and again called on the public to report any suspicious activities in their neighborhoods in order to curb crime and terror attacks. Chris Ochamringa, NTV.
It is on the statement.
Thank you, Chris. With all that in mind, there are illegal immigrants living and working in Uganda. We ask you tonight, is the government doing enough to follow up on illegal immigrants staying in the country? I repeat, is the government doing enough to follow up on illegal immigrants staying in the country? SMS your thoughts by typing NTV poll, leave a space followed by a brief comment and send to 8778. Stay tuned, we shall sample some of your views during the bulletin and some more at the tail end of tonight's newscast. Now, residents of a patch in Lango sub-region have been cut off from the rest of the country after heavy rains flooded the main road, cutting off access to the region. The rains that pounded the region in the last week have left businessmen counting losses.
People travelling through a patch to Kampala or Masindi are the most affected, and they now have to part with 15,000 shillings from the 12 they have been using for public transport. Businessmen here are also stuck with their goods. Pregnant mothers like this one are also facing challenges of accessing the health centres at the Apache Referral Hospital in Chegere Sub-County and Aduku Township because they have been cut off by the floods. School-going children are also affected by the flooding water, and many have missed school since the torrential rains started.
But they are supposed to sit for the exam. Can they sit for the exam while people at the school they continue with the study?
The Assistant Engineer, Uganda National Roads Authority at Lira Sub-Region Office, Engineer Patrick Gona, says they have submitted their budget to work on the main roads connecting Apache to the rest of Lango Sub-Region.
The money we get from central government is enough. Actually, whatever we apply for, we normally get it. The problem is the time at which it comes. You are all in local government, and I think you have seen the problem. From July, there is no money.
More rains are expected in most parts of the country until December.
Local leaders in Nama sub-country and Mukono district have petitioned the Inspector General of Government to intervene in the escalating mismanagement of public funds by the district administration. The leaders accuse some members of the district executive and civil servants of falsifying documents, making it difficult to monitor projects.
Government moves to fight corruption in top government offices. The situation is even worse at both the district and village levels. Leaders in Nama sub-county in Mukono district uncovered the mismanagement of funds that has been going on amongst civil servants. This has compelled them to petition the Inspector General of the government to help deal with the matter. In one incident where the head of one school was accused of buying fake furniture, the LC3 chairperson of Nama sub-county gave a directive that the furniture be taken to the sub-county headquarters to be used as firewood.
I found that some desks which were offered to us were ramshackled. They were not made in proper timber, and most of them are really destroyed within a short period of time.
In yet another incident, the contractor allegedly failed to complete the construction of an outpatient block at Katogo Health Center 3, a project that was supposed to be complete by May this year. Allegations of gross corruption and embezzlement of funds has hindered the construction of the block.
Omusango sigwaffe nga ggombolola nga bwe mbategeezezza omulimu gwakolebwa district.
The leaders are still waiting for a response from the IGG.
The Foundation for Human Rights Initiative Uganda has established a civil society private sector forum aimed at checking the increased human rights abuses in the country. The forum will, among other things, demand for good governance and transparency. Cynthia Asio has that report.
Especially in the monitoring and evaluation of the public.
Mid this week, Foundation for Human Rights Initiative launched a forum aimed at creating a vibrant society that would aggressively demand for democratic values, good governance and transparency.
Both the civil society and the private sector are important players in creating the necessary transformation of this country. Civil society, on its part, plays a great role in carrying out advocacy on behalf of the underprivileged, bringing out their plight and giving them a voice.
But recently, government threatened to deregister civil society organizations, accusing them of passing contradictory ideas. So one wonders whether this new civil society private sector forum can rebuild the trust between itself and the government.
What is important is to demonstrate that actually we add value to the efforts of government. And as far as I know, civil society is doing all that it can to add value to current efforts. When government, for example, launched the National Development Plan, it did expect that civil society would make a contribution.
The public has been urged to exercise their rights by monitoring what government does and respond appropriately where they find that there is poor delivery of services. Cynthia Asio, NTV Weekend Edition.
Small and medium enterprises are now focusing on renewable energy as a solution to the ever-escalating electricity prices. Solar energy, which is increasingly becoming the fast alternative, has taken center stage in most businesses, although the initial cost of the installation seemed to be very expensive. NTV's Solomon Seranja now explores why solar energy could be a better alternative and what could be its shortcomings, especially when the sun does not shine for days.
Recently, the domestic cost per unit of electricity escalated from 385.6 shillings to 524.5 shillings, while commercial consumers for medium industries now pay 458.9 shillings from 333.2 shillings. This followed government's move to scrap the 1.5 trillion shillings previously given as subsidies for the power. But even with the recent increase in the power added to the main national grid, including Nyagak and Bujagali power dams switched on, there still remains no intentions by government to reduce on the power costs. This has greatly affected business, especially medium enterprises with reasonably low capital base. Seroma Christian High School pays 10 million shillings per month on electricity bills, an issue that prompted them to invest in a 400 million shillings solar project.
The hydro, is distributed by UMEME very much, and you have an invoice at every end of the month. But when you have got solar, you don't have an invoice. You have got one invoice once, and that's it. So, like this particular project, we expect that we won't have any replacement. Not until 16 years have passed. That's when it can, because that's when the gadgets can be replaced.
The project, which produces 20 kilowatts, has 48 batteries that store the energy, 120 solar panels, each producing 180 watts, and a standard generator using 5 liters of diesel per hour. But although this investment looks worthwhile and cheaper in the long run, solar systems cannot sustain heavy industrial work, as it would otherwise be more expensive compared to hydroelectricity power.
We've been informed these are 20 kilowatts. Now, a big factory, just give an example of a tea factory, would require about half a megawatt, about that much. It's not a very big factory. Implying that such a factory would require 25 of these. Now, that alone is a very high cost. So industries cannot really go for this kind of system.
Government is also planning to put in place a mechanism that can allow private entities who generate excess electricity to add it onto the national grid.
We believe that we shall also be like other developed countries. In other developed countries, a system like this, they have an understanding with the distribution company. The laws are in place that enable them to sell their surplus power to the distribution company. We still have to get there. We still have to bring in the technology that will help to make that possible, and also the required regulatory framework.
Although solar electricity seems to be a better alternative for hydroelectric power, initial installation costs continue to be a bottleneck for many who would wish to cut on electricity bills. Solomon Serwanja, NTV Weekend Edition.
Thank you, Solomon. Well, it's time to take a short break now, but just before we do, let's take a quick look at what you can expect when we return. Drunken driving. Why it is turning out to be a serious national problem in our Saturday topical feature. And Lugazi overcome Chambogo in the Under-12 Baseball Championship final. NTV Weekend Edition continues after this short break. Don't go away.
This is NTV.
This was an act of meticulous constitutionalism.
The government of Uganda can't just watch.
This has been told us why he's abandoning his constituency.
I'm saying that the problem is here. Call out the elite. Therefore, this whole issue, I call it nonsense.
Some confusion. You don't need problems in NRM.
We'll take lessons. The stakes in Eastern Congo are very high. There is no law in Uganda that stops even a member of opposition from holding a gun. Yes, they are. They've been there since the stocks there. They've been there more than any other country.
Allow an environment where people freely elect their leaders.
You say correctly that the problem of Africa is leaders staying in power for so long.
What I said, staying in power without mandate of the people.
Dr. Besige, are you telling us on this show tonight that it's okay to break rules?
People worth becoming leaders should not break rules.
Joseph Kony is defeated. He's on the run with his tail between his legs.
You cannot sit back and allow Somalia to continue to be in chaos.
I'm a state Messiah.
I will leave office if we allow an environment where people freely elect their leaders.
You say correctly that the problem of Africa is leaders staying in power for so long.
What I said, staying in power without mandate of the people.
Dr. Besige, are you...
When we meet people who are different from us, we tend to ostracize them.
Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. A reminder, in our NTV Weekend poll tonight, we asked, is the government doing enough to follow up on illegal immigrants staying in the country? I repeat, is the government doing enough to follow up on illegal immigrants staying in the country? Some of your responses so far, we have Thomas Ochaya, who says following up on the existing immigrants is one thing, but putting in place the mechanism and methods of preventing illegal entrance into the country is another. We should not be chasing these people as if the state has no control on our border entrances. Julius Opuno says it is trying, except immigration office is also corrupt. Government should start by registering the ones already inside and tightening the immigration laws. And Emmanuel Okumu says no. The government calls them investors. In fact, if you get all categories of people freely doing all sorts of nonsense in Uganda in the name of investor, Uganda should borrow a leaf from its neighbors, where visitors are required to move with their passport all the time. We need an iron fist, otherwise we risk being second-hand citizens in our own country. Well, thank you so much for all of your responses. Remember, you continue to send them in and we shall take a look at them towards the end of this newscast. You can send your text to 8778 and we shall look at those responses. Now moving on, police in Kisoro are holding 5 men suspected to have poisoned a group of people at a wedding. A 7-year-old girl is believed to have died after she ate the suspected poisoned food. The other 105 victims claim to have suffered from severe diarrhea and vomiting as soon as they took the sorghum porridge, popularly known as bushera. We have a report.
A 7-year-old died and about 105 people were in critical condition after they ate suspected poisoned sorghum porridge, popularly known as bushera, at a family wedding. The victims were rushed to Mutolere Hospital after they suffered severe diarrhea and vomiting.
We had to rescue them because the community almost carried out mob justice. And then we moved in very fast with the police. They were all removed and brought here in safe custody because they are still suspect. Once we get back the results, will be taken straight to court. But however, we also told where the brews were made, that bushera. The police is so unhygienically looked at, so that could also cause another problem.
According to Dr. Charles Tumushabe, the hospital was overwhelmed by the number of patients. Nevertheless, results from lab tests showed components of blood and pus in the stools.
We received a number of patients with diarrhea and vomiting, and we kept on recording. The number was overwhelming, so the sister who was on the ward at that time asked for the staff who were not even on duty to come and help. When we received them, as I've told you, they were varying, the clinical findings on the patients were different. Others were very sick, dehydrated, were not even able to move. They brought them when we were lifting them. And so what we did was triage it. We grouped the patients according to the severity of the condition in which they presented.
Police say they are yet to establish whether the victims were actually poisoned, as they have already begun their investigations into the incident that led to the arrest of 5 people suspected of committing the offense.
These suspects were arrested to help police in the investigation. We have informed the Kampala and we have written to them, possibly to send us a pathologist and we will view the body.
Fortunately, most of the patients got treated and have been discharged. Police intends to exhume the body of the 7-year-old girl in order to carry out a post-mortem. If found guilty, the suspects will be charged with murder by poisoning.
A very unfortunate incident. Now, police have arrested 3 men in connection with the illegal sale of marijuana worth millions of shillings. The suspects were arrested in the wee hours of this morning during a routine police crackdown on criminals in the village of Kabalagala, a busy Kampala suburb. We have the details in this report.
The 3, John Atumwine, Bright Kasaija, and Joseph Nsubga, all residents of Kataba and Kasazi zones in Kabalagala. They were found in possession of sacks of marijuana worth millions of shillings, and some of it had already been packed for sale.
So we landed first on one, with one stick, Bright. When we landed on Bright with one stick, Bright told us he is leading us to the source. So Bright led us to the source of 12 sticks. So the one we got to the 12 sticks told us is leading us to the depot. So we headed now the depot. So actually it's a success to the police and to the entire community.
The suspects, who sniffed the drug to volunteer to lead police to other places where the banned crop is kept. Police have blacklisted the two villages of Kataba and Kasasi as the most notorious places for marijuana trade. The search for marijuana growers, traders and customers continues.
Every so often, a car accident occurs and a life is lost. Later findings reveal the driver of the car that caused the crash had been driving while intoxicated. Maybe a life wasn't lost and those involved in the accident only sustained minor injuries. The last thing anyone needs is to have a drunk driver whose vision and concentration are now impaired by vast amounts of alcohol on roads that are bumpy, have potholes and are narrow. Tonight, we look at drunken driving, a serious national problem that tragically affects many victims. We took a midnight drive and this is what we found. A typical Friday and Saturday night scene. Random police checkpoints, lots of drunken drivers heading to the next bar, party or home.
Pull the handbrake, then you come with us here.
Many of the functions we depend on to drive safely are affected when we take alcohol. The brain takes longer to receive messages from the eye, processing information becomes more difficult, and instruction to the body's muscles are delayed, resulting in slower reaction time. Blurred and double vision can also occur, which means the ability to see things correctly while driving is reduced. People are also more likely to take potentially dangerous risks behind the wheel.
You are putting your life at risk. You are heading down, you turn to let's go. Oh, that one was up.
If you are going to drive, you should not drink at all. If you drink, for instance, you should not drink as if there is no tomorrow. The essence is to make sure that when you are commandeering a vehicle, you have your faculty, your brain is working.
Between the month of January and June, 596 offenders were caught in Uganda and prosecuted. Of these, 296 were within Kampala. The penalty for drunk driving is a fine of between 200,000 shillings to 1.2 million. But the courts rarely give the maximum penalty. Most offenders get away after paying the least. No wonder the repeat offenders are many.
200,000 and you come out. That's why I'm telling you that the law is not on our side. Even if you have killed 20, we shall open 20 charges. And we expect God to multiply the punishment by number the 20, but they have their jurisdiction.
And the officers' frustration is evident. How can they keep the road safe when the offenders are not adequately punished?
Go to Rizal and you find out how many traffic offenders who killed people through accidents are in prison. You are likely not to get any.
So how do we better the situation? A few ideas include passing mandatory alcohol and drug testing in fatal crashes to promote successful prosecution of drunk drivers, stepping up reinforcement and supporting the police with enough breath analyzers.
It detects the amount of alcohol in the blood. The moment you go beyond 0.35, somebody is incapable of driving a car.
The problem with these breath analyzers, though, is that some people have learned how to beat them.
Then you blow. He's not doing anything.
Let's make all people who drink and drive be sentenced to imprisonment. There should be no fine. 100,000. These are rich men, my friend. It is peanut. You are telling them to pay peanuts.
Vehicle impoundment or immobilization could also be another solution, and also putting in place strict laws. The first alternative should be jail time instead of fines.
Court has powers to suspend your license. It has. The Traffic and Road Safety Act is there. I have never had any driver in Uganda whose license has been suspended. I have never had it. We want precedences.
People are drinking, they're mature people. So they should act like mature people because they know that drinking and driving is not right. I mean, you come up and you like, I'm drunk, I shouldn't drive. At least we need also to have self-responsibility.
If you must drink heavily on a night out, have a designated driver, someone who will sit with you, not drink, but get you home safely at the end of your night. When it comes to alcohol, a drink is a drink. Do not be fooled. Know your limit. Josephine Karunji, NTV.
Forum for Democratic Change presidential hopeful Mugisha Muntu says his hope to take over the helm of the party is based on the party delegates who will take part in the elections come November this year. Muntu is traversing the entire country canvassing for support to become the FTC party president. He, however, calls on fellow party members to up their political game if the public is to entrust the party with their votes come 2016. Muntu said this while addressing a press conference in the Western District of Mbarara.
My hope is in the delegates. They listen to all sides, and I would like to believe that they make good judgment. We must act in a manner that is seen to be mature. We must act in a manner that is seen that we are level-headed, that we can operate in whatever state of turbulence that there might be. But they must see us that we are leaders who can take whatever it takes. Because if we are to run a party, if FDC is going to influence the direction of things in this country, then we really have to act in a very responsible way.
Let's take another short break. Stay tuned for the latest now NTV Weekend Sport.
This is NTV.
If you want to succeed in business,
look for your talent, prove it.
You should have interest.
From day one, I was feeling that I can do something from my own.
If you've been working for people for all this time, then there should be a problem with you.
But for us, we give you what you want.
if you want to succeed in business,
look for your talent, prove it.
You should have interest.
From day one, I was feeling that I can do something from my own.
If you've been working for people for all this time, then there should be a problem with you.
But for us, we give you what you want.
Enter the taxi, some people get out because an albino. The city will annoy you.
Yet it is these differences that bring out our individual uniqueness. Fear,
coming between life and death. I was scared.
Despair.
In the battle, I was shot through the head and I lost my eye.
The daily frustrations endured from the people around us are disheartening. But then, the light shines bright on those who are not affected by our differences.
Love ky'ekintu ekikulu embitwe oba mulamu oba alina obulemu kumiro batalina bwemanga mwagalana.
Life stories.
Do you know people were even greeting and bowing for me?
Made that possible. When greed consumes all.
Chief, all I'm telling you is to please stay away from this bakery. Run! Chief!
Now, if you want to threaten me with something more tangible. Not police, we have been seeing police.
The stories are telling.
Message from the Holy Spirit.
Watch African drama every day, Rising with the Sun. AfriPix on NTV.
Do you know people were even greeting and bowing for me?
I made that. To exploring the word and sharing with Uganda's top gospel artists.
I am one of those most celebrated gospel artists in East Africa.
GXP is your one stop for encouragement and blessings.
Praise and worship is a strong component on GXP.
Every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station.
My God is good, yo.
It's more than just good music.
God is able to do just what he said he would do.
It's uplifting, intimate praise and worship. Featuring the latest in gospel. To exploring the word and sharing with Uganda's top gospel artists.
Welcome to NTV Weekend Sport. We start off with rugby. Uganda's campaign to win this year's main trophy for the Safaricom Sevens Rugby Championship that is going on in Nairobi was dealt a major setback on day one after both Ugandan teams suffered back-to-back defeats. Despite the under-19 beating the Nairobi counterparts by 15 points against 0 and winning the Plate Cup, their senior counterparts, the Cobs and Cranes, failed to replicate the performance. The Cobs played fast and lost to both South Africa and New Zealand by 29-7 and 38-5 consecutively. The Cranes came in next and lost to Kenya 28-0 in the first game before they lost the second game to Grenoble by a 7-point margin. Later in the evening, the Cranes fought back from a disappointing day and beat Rwanda by 21 points to 0. The tournament ends tomorrow in Nairobi. In baseball, Gazette today claimed the inaugural national under-12 baseball title with a 6-run win over Chambogo in the final played in Kampala. The players, though, urged officials to train more younger players to broaden the talent base and guide them to compete at a higher level.
Lugazi made a statement in junior baseball as they beat Chambogo to the national under-12 title by 6 runs in the final played in Kampala. They collected 8 runs against highly rated Chambogo, who only managed 2. The event also had the Middle East Africa Junior Champions beating the Select side in the game that concluded a 3-month competition. Excelling players and officials were rewarded for their contribution to the growth of the game across the country.
Don't get annoyed. Maybe yours is coming. It's on the way.
And just advise coaches to train more children to also play baseball, because without it we cannot win the another trophies, because some of us are going to live under 12 in the coming years.
The National Baseball and Softball Governing Body will in a fortnight enroll a program aimed at increasing the girls' participation in softball. They look to making an impact in the forthcoming championships both at the continental and world stage. This Under-12 National Baseball Championship that has come to a close in Kampala is one of those activities used by the national body to groom talent for clubs and national teams. They are yet to venture in schools and higher institutions of learning. Alfred Odong, NTV Sport.
The Uganda Swimming Federation hopes to bank on international competitions and a few local engagements to prepare their athletes for the 2014 Kana Zone 4 and 3 swimming competition. Uganda won the bid to win the competition that features over 14 countries from the east, central and southern regions of Africa.
Uganda's junior athletes will have their ability to compete in international swimming competitions once again tested in Nairobi, Kenya this weekend during the Kenya Junior Swimming Championship. Uganda has dispatched a group of 30 junior swimmers under the Dolphin Swim Club to challenge their counterparts of Kenya in one of the build-ups to the 2014 Kana Swimming Championship that will be hosted in Kampala.
It is part of an overall process of preparing our swimmers to be able to compete with their peers both within East Africa and in 2014 against both the Southern and East African region.
Led by 11-year-old Joyce Muzito as overall captain, Mukazi Tendo as the boys' captain and Adonai Kalule as the girls' captain, the team hopes to capitalize on experience to emerge champions.
We've been training for a year and more since Mexico. So I think we're really prepared. I think we're ready.
We are now ready because the other challenges we weren't that ready, but this one we are very ready.
Last year, Uganda's Dolphin Swim Club emerged third overall, on top of winning the girls' top prize and finishing third in the boys' category. Sam Poza, NTV Sport.
Now Everton ended Swansea City's unbeaten home record with a dominant display in the English Premier League clash, which ended 3-0 this evening. Chelsea, though, secured a slim win against Stoke City to keep top of the table. Victor Anichebe gave Everton a controversial opener when he volleyed home after suspicion of handball. Kevin Miralles finished a sweeping move on the second attempt to double the lead in the first half, dominated by Everton. Swansea defender Andrew Rangel missed an open goal before Fellaini headed a third. 3-0 the final score for Everton. In the other game, Ashley Cole was the hero as Chelsea scored a dramatic late winner to finally end Stoke's resistance. The England defender